Hello, I think this should be recording. Hi, I'm Ben. I'm going to be giving a talk today about marketing your hack. We're going to cover things like viral marketing and how to monetize your website if it does eventually get viral. This talk is pre-recorded, but I'll be happy to take questions on Discord. I'm at Ben S, but you can put it in the general chat. I'll be able to answer you there. Or I think there'll be a chat bar on Twitch as well. Happy to answer questions. Or I'm going to share my email soon. You can email me there as well if you're one of those weird people that still use email. So let's get started. So quick summary about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about viral marketing, what it is, how to do it, why you might want to do it, some kind of tricks, some hacks almost you could say, on how to increase your viral marketing and help yourself get viral. And then how to figure out if you are viral. We're going to look at how you can track that using things like Google Analytics. Then the next part of the talk, we'll be talking about media and the press, how to get in newspapers, on TV shows with your project, and how to write things like press releases. Then if we've got time, might touch on how to be in an interview. Then monetization, how to take donations and ads. And before we kind of carry on with that, not everything in this talk is going to be directly about hackathon projects. I know a lot of you might not want to send your hackathon project straight into the world and get it viral. So the information in this talk is more applicable for future projects you do, because I'm sure at some point in your life you're going to want to make something that everyone's going to want to see. And just another slight disclaimer, a lot of this is going to be about web marketing for websites, but the principles mostly still apply for apps as well. Just a couple snippets of code that I use might not be as relevant. So, who am I? Why should you listen to me? My name is Ben Sassoon. I'm a student at the University of Birmingham studying computer science. Currently in isolation in the UK. I know we've got some international viewers. I'm stuck here in the UK. And I created a website that went viral a few weeks ago called howmuchtoiletpaper.com. You might have heard of it, you might not have heard of it. We launched about two and a half weeks ago, and we've had about 12 million people use the website, which is pretty cool. It's been quite a crazy few weeks. And I'm going to kind of teach you how I got that site so viral and some of the lessons I've learned along the way. I may as well show you the website quickly for context. Really, really simple website. I threw it together in about an hour. So I'm sure during this rather long hackathon, you're going to be able to make something much better. You essentially tell it how many rolls you have, how often you go to the toilet, and it's going to tell you how long that toilet paper is going to last, and it'll give you that as a percentage of your quarantine as well. There's a little button, let me see if I can get like a laser pointer. There's a little button at the bottom here called Advanced Options, and when you click that, it's going to show you these extra options which you can customize with as well, which is quite cool and funny, I think, and hopefully it will help reduce stockpiling around the world. So can I be trusted? I think yes. I'm going to show you where I went viral, and then we're going to see how we can get that for you as well. So I was in Fox News, I know, ABC News, CNN, that was a big one, CNET, the New York Post, and Lifehacker. But let's be real, those are a bit boring. Who reads online newspapers nowadays? No one really. So now for the cool ones. I was on a YouTube channel by a guy called Linus Tech Tips. I'm sure many of you follow him. I follow him quite religiously, so it was really nice. He included us on their podcast, The WAN Show, where they spoke about the website, which was really quite cool. We were on The Verge, which is the tech website I follow for my tech news, so that was a big deal for me. And one really cool one, the MIT Computer Science Twitter account tweeted about us, which was quite nice. We were on some TV news, so I'm going to teach you about how to get on TV. And we were on some late night shows with a guy called Jimmy Fallon, which was really cool. Let's see if I can get that video to play.
I learned about an online toilet paper. It's that funny. I heard about an online toilet paper calculator that tells you how long your supply will last. So if you think you're bored, imagine being the guy who just created an online toilet paper calculator.
So yeah, I got roasted by Jimmy Fallon, which is kind of a life goal for most people. And I got to take that off, which was really quite cool. So that's an introduction to me and why I think what I'm saying is true. Maybe it won't. We'll get onto that later. So now onto the actual content. How did I do this? essentially I use a technique called viral marketing. I'm sure you've heard of it. But in case you haven't, viral marketing is where your website's users kind of do the marketing for you. You don't really have to put in as much effort as you would for a traditional marketing campaign, because you encourage the people that use your service to share it themselves and share information, tell their friends. So long story short, and essentially this whole talk can be summed up in one line, which is make your site extremely shareable. I've put that in bold because it's just so important. Make it shareable. So a small disclaimer, you can't force your website to go viral. It's just not possible. If everyone wanted their site to go viral, then every site would be viral. It just wouldn't be a thing. So as much as you can't make something go viral, you can definitely push it in the right direction. And there's a lot of tricks you can use to really encourage it to go viral. But perhaps I just got lucky. You can't really tell when things are going to go viral. Perhaps I did just get lucky. But I think a lot of the things I talk about are going to make sense. And you'll see that too. So, viral marketing. We know it's got to be shareable. It's called going viral for a reason. The irony is not lost on me that I went viral during a virus pandemic. But you've got to remember that when one person sees your site or app and they share it to their friends, then all their friends could possibly see it. And then if one of those sees it as well, they can share it with all of their friends. And it's almost exponential, the amount of people that are able to see your things just from a couple of people sharing them. But your content kind of has to be in a specific way to make something go viral. It's got to be simple and easy to use. When someone's sharing it onto their friends, you want their friends to be able to go on your service, view it kind of quickly, get to grips with it, and then share it on with their friends relatively quickly for it to have this viral effect. Otherwise, it might take months and months for your site to go viral if they've got to go through a sign-up process and things like this. So the best way to go viral is to be really easy to use, really simple to use. That way you also appeal to the most amount of people, because the more people your site can appeal to and people that would be interested in it, the more shares you're going to get as well. And you can achieve that like I did through humor and education, or a bunch of other ways like fun and games and entertainment. But you really want it to be simple. The more simple something is, the more people it can appeal to and the more viral it can go. So I spoke about this thing before called shareable and making something shareable. How do we do that? So you've got to remember, people using the site are going to be lazy. So we want to put a really easy way for them to share something with their friends. And obviously that means a share button. You want to have some nice big buttons like this over here, that one click, they can share it with their friends. This might sound kind of trivial, and you might be thinking, oh, well, can't they just copy paste it somewhere? They can, but most people are lazy. So if you can push people in that right direction of sharing it and you make it so easy, all they do is press one button, then that's going to increase your likelihood of going viral like crazy. Kind of before I knew all this, I did find share buttons annoying. I'd never really pressed them. Wasn't really my kind of thing. I'd always prefer just to copy and paste a link. But most people apparently aren't like that, and they are more likely to share something with a button there that will do it for them. And the advantage of this as well is you can customize how they're sharing it. So I've got a button, share to Facebook, share to Twitter, share, send on WhatsApp. And if you click Twitter, for example, it puts out this pre-crafted tweet with the information in about how many days are going to last, which is taken from the website. And it puts in the relevant hashtags. My camera might be blocking that, I'm sorry. And a link to the site. And I've essentially pre-crafted a message that they have to click one tweet button and that's put out to all their friends. And I'm kind of controlling the narrative a bit. I'm putting in hashtags, putting in my URL, and that's going to maximize the chance of them coming back to the website. And it also allows you to do things like include images, kind of craft the visual look. So if you see here, this utilizes something called the meta tags. I'll show you that afterwards. These are the Twitter card meta tags. And that's going to put in an image of my choice, the title of the website, and a description that I've defined. So this way, as well, I'm controlling the narrative and how it's going to appear on people's feeds to be more likely for them to click it. Because people are always more likely to click something with an image on than something that doesn't have an image on. So having a nice visual image that kind of defines what the site's about is quite important. So how can we do these share buttons? There's a few different ways. If you're lazy, there's websites that will do it for you, like sharethis.com. I did look at that, and they essentially give you the buttons almost pre-made for the social media channels you decide, and they've got some quite nice analytics features as well. That means you can track how many people have shared it and from where, which is quite useful. Alternatively, if you're not lazy, you can just make them. They're not that hard. I'd use a couple of Bootstrap buttons. I use the extra plugin of Bootstrap, which lets you put on the social icons, and then just wrote some JavaScript code, which you can see here. So like the Twitter one, for example, it takes that variable of how many days are going to last, and creates a phrase out of it, creates the URL with the variables in the URL, and then opens that URL, and that's going to craft the tweet. And then I've also got this here, which says gtag event Twitter. We'll get onto that a bit later. That's part of Google Analytics, so that I can track how many people have clicked that button, which is a really useful metric to know. But for some things like Facebook, you again have to use their API. Facebook are kind of a bit weird about this. It seems to have changed. Like a lot of the information on Stack Overflow about this has changed quite a lot recently. You have to use things like Open Graph and things like that, but it's pretty simple. I've got some links here on how you can do it. But if you are struggling, just use something like sharethis.com and they'll basically do it for you. So the meta tags are going to help you create, let me just go back a sec, this kind of card that we spoke about. You can do that with meta tags. So I've got here like the title, the description, and the image I want to use. And Twitter and Facebook provide really helpful tools for you to be able to create these meta tags and test that they're working properly. One thing that is annoying that I didn't really find too much information about, for Facebook especially, you used to be able to do like custom images for each person that shares it. But you can't do that anymore for some reason. It has to be one image for your whole URL for everyone, which I thought was a bit weird. If anyone can find a way to do that, let me know, but I couldn't. Just a quick overview of the people that shared my site to give you an idea of what kind of social media is being used the most. 75% were on Facebook and about 20% on WhatsApp, and about 5% on Twitter, which is quite surprising to me actually. I thought Twitter would be a lot higher. I thought Facebook and Twitter would kind of be joint, but they really weren't. And WhatsApp surprised me as well. That got pretty popular, but I guess people like to share in private chats. You've got to remember, different social media channels are going to open you up to different kind of audiences. Twitter is kind of the younger crowd. I guess there's a bit of crossover there with Facebook as well, more middle-aged. But I found that once I added that WhatsApp button, I got a major influx in older users, like older kind of elderly users, which surprised me. But then again, I thought about it, and I thought kind of people might be sending it to their family members in family group chats. I know they're quite popular. And I got the proof that this did start appealing to the older users, because as soon as I put on that WhatsApp button, I started getting a lot of emails from elderly people, but they weren't normal emails. They were these really weird emails. I'll show you some of them now. So like this guy caught just email saying does not work, sent from my iPad, which was a bit weird. Peggy decided to just send me how many rolls she uses per day, potentially in the hope that I'm going to calculate it for her. Stephen wanted to inform me there's no toilet. I don't know what that means. This other person couldn't find toilet paper where they live, and Cheryl said she needs some toilet paper now, please. But I think the funniest one was from this person called Chase, who didn't send any message, but just sent an attachment, and that attachment was a photo of their dog, and nothing else. And this was the audience that came after I put WhatsApp buttons on the site, which I thought was quite interesting. So a note about devices as well, because this is something I didn't realize before. The kind of devices people were using to access my site, majority mobile, like by far, almost 80% were just on mobile, and about 20% on desktop, and tablets were basically nothing. This did surprise me. I do almost everything on my desktop. And I designed it on desktop, I developed it on desktop. I didn't really look at it on mobile properly until after it was deployed. But I was wrong about that. Mobile first is really the rule here, because otherwise you're missing out on the majority of your users. Domain names. This is something quite important when you're trying to go viral, actually. You want a domain name that is concise and explains your tool quite easily. So mine was howmuchtoiletpaper.com. It kind of sticks in people's minds. When they see it on their feed, they're more likely to click it. You want to avoid things like with your personal names, like bensassoon.com/toilet paper or putting it on my GitHub/toilet paper. You don't really want that, because if someone's scrolling through their feed, that's not going to be the primary thing they see. And when news sites will eventually pick it up, you don't want them really using that. You want it to be like a brand. So really choose a domain name that's going to describe your site for those reasons, but mainly SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. Essentially, how far up on Google you're going to come. So when you search like toilet paper calculator, how far up on Google is my site going to come? And that's really important. Like if someone's friend says to them, "Oh, did you see the toilet paper calculator?" They're going to go to Google, they're going to type toilet paper calculator, and I've got to make sure I'm up there first to maximize the amount of views that I'm going to get. So when you're using a personal name, it's going to be a lot harder for SEO compared to a descriptive name. You also want to choose something that's really hard to copy. I didn't. That was a mistake. As soon as I launched, copycat websites were launching like crazy. Some had even literally copy and pasted the HTML code from my site to theirs. And they had really similar domain names. I'm not going to talk about them here because I don't want to give them the publicity. So really quickly I had to act, and I bought a bunch of other domain names that were relatively similar to mine so that no one else could get them, essentially. It's always a game of cat and mouse, and you're never going to really win, but you can maximize your chances of winning that. So we've discussed kind of so far how to go viral, but this is only once you've got users. These share buttons are only going to work once you've got users who are coming on to share it. So how do we get those initial users? That's what we're going to talk about now. The initial traffic. There's quite a few things that can help you go viral, but we still need that initial traffic, as I just said. Essentially, your patient zero, if you're talking about it in virus terms, because essentially that's what we're trying to do here to make it go viral. So you've got several different options, like Reddit, normal social media, the press, influencers. These are the main four. There are others, of course, but these I think are the main four. And I've isolated Reddit away from normal social media because the way it works is just so different. And I think it's one of the most important ones, so we're going to focus on that first. So Reddit, hands down, I think the best way to get initial traffic. You've got access to so many other, like so many different communities, so many different audiences just on one site that it becomes really powerful. And the way the voting algorithm works, it really does value original content, and it helps things go viral so easily. I'm not an expert on gaming Reddit. A lot of people have spoken about it better than I have, but long story short, you want to be on the right subreddit with the right title. Those are the only two things that really matter. So what do I mean by like the right subject, the right subreddit even? You want to go in, this is from a lot of trial and error. You don't want to go straight into the big subreddits like R Technology or R Funny. You want to kind of avoid those, and you want to go for smaller subreddits, because this is where your posts are going to be seen more. If you put it in a big subreddit, there's going to be so many posts that you're likely to be buried. But if you put it in a smaller one where it's still relevant, then you're going to get a lot more traction. Again, too easy to be buried. Target smaller subs, and they'll do the work for you. We had a lot of success in like small towns, or like small states in the US. They've all got their own subreddits, and you can post in there, and people will see that, and then they'll do the hard work for you and put it in the bigger subreddits, because karma is one hell of a drug. So start in smaller subreddits, and then it will eventually filter through to the big subreddits. Regarding titles, there's a lot more resources online about this than what I can talk about, but you want it to be descriptive and kind of clickbaity. I know it sounds bad, but essentially clickbait exists because it works. But there's a lot more about that. You can, I'll put some links in the Discord about that. Normal social media. Obviously, we're talking about Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. It is harder to go viral in these, but definitely possible. And it's harder because the reach is limited to your friends or the people geographically near to you. That's kind of the great thing about Reddit, is that it's also open and anonymized, so you can reach people you don't even know. But on these social networks, you are more limited to people that you do know. But it's a great start. Definitely for me, I started on like university Facebook groups and local Facebook groups, like the different towns that I live in, and that was a great start because people can then share it from there. But you really want to focus on bigger things like Reddit first. The next one is influencers. As much as I hate it, this is huge. I'm not really into the whole influencer culture, but having a single influencer post your site or your app is going to shoot your viral chances way up. they've got such a broad reach, and when they post something, people want to read it because they've got a fan base. They're an engaged fan base. They're going to want to click or use whatever the influencer uses, and it's just the easiest way to get out there. So how do you get an influencer to post your things? Call in all your favors, any friends you know that know anyone. That's a good way. Otherwise, you might have to pay for it. There's sites like InfluencerDB and iInfluence and just a bunch of others, and they can kind of hire influencers to post about your sites. I'm not quite sure the costs on these. I've not used them myself, but I know this will really push you in the right direction. And especially if there's a specific target audience you're looking for, you can find influencers that match that quite easily, and that's going to maximize your chances of having engaged users. So we were quite lucky that a YouTube influencer called Zach Alsop actually picked up our site. We didn't pay him or anything, but that was one of the initial boosts that we needed, and that really helped skyrocket. It got us more of those patient zeros, as I spoke of before. It's kind of starting the spread, but in a big way, and that's really important. So once you kind of started to get a few users, one of the next tools you can really use is about the media and the press. So what do I mean by that? So the press covers things like normal media, like the big TV channels, but also online magazines, online newspapers, things like that. And this is absolutely key. Mastering the press will make you go viral and will make you money as well at the same time, which is kind of the best of both worlds, right? So why do I say it will make you go viral? It's because these people have active readers and people that are going to read the news to learn about stories and things they can check out. So you've already got an audience that has the mindset of wanting to learn new things. That's why this is so key. And also because of the existing reach they have. I know I mentioned it earlier a bit. So for example, when we got on CNN, that then reached Apple News in the UK. So everyone with an iPhone that had the Apple News app got a notification about our app, which was a huge boost. I can't even explain how big of a boost that was. It was unbelievable. To have a notification sent out to so many people. And I got that CNN article just from sending one email to a journalist. So how do we go about this? You can see here on my graph, when you combine all the CNN links, so from their AMP pages, that's their accelerated mobile platform. But essentially, combine all these three, it's just one article. That's almost 500,000 users on the site just from one article. So imagine if you're getting 10 or 15 articles, that's a lot of users. So that this is really key. So how do you get these articles? So method one is the press release. What is a press release? It's essentially a document that you can send out to news agencies and to journalists, and it contains everything that they need to write an article. So I've done a short extract of my press release here. You can see the full one on the website itself if you scroll to the bottom. But essentially it gives a couple quotes, brief description about how it came about, like kind of the story aspect of it. It explains how I made it with a friend. It makes them want to write a story that like, oh, this is quite interesting. We've got a few images on there, and then a couple like interesting factoids they could use in a headline, like this line at the bottom here. So far, the average user has used enough toilet paper to last 500% of their quarantine. That line was repeated on so many articles in either the subheading or the heading. It's quite important to have like a gotcha fact like that. So how long should this be? Kind of a short document, 1 or 2 pages, and just send it out to as many journalists as you can find. An easy way to do this is to put in this hashtag on Twitter, journo request, and then you'll see a list of journalists on Twitter that are looking for something to write about, and you can just message them a link to your press release, and they'll basically do the work for you. But if you don't want to do that, go to websites that you read. So I read The Verge, and I've read CNN a few times in the past. So I went to those websites, I looked at the front page, I saw an article that looked kind of related to what I was doing, and I saw who wrote the article. I clicked on their author name, found their Twitter, found their email. It's all there. You just email it straight to them, and that's a really quick, surefire way to get your site seen by journalists. I'd recommend writing a stock email, so that you can just send it out to loads of people without having to rewrite it every time. So that's kind of the first way, which is doing it yourself through a press release. But the alternate way is through press agencies. These are companies that exist solely to sell stories to other newspapers. And they sell to major news sites. and often they will actually pay you for a story. Not always guaranteed, but often they will. In the UK, there's people like SWNS. I think that's like Southwest News Service or something. Or talk to the press.co.uk. I'm not sure about the ones in the US, but I'm sure that there's very similar ones. All you need is one phone call to them, call their hot desk or email them, and they're going to do the hard work for you. They profit when they have stories to sell, so they're going to jump on really quickly and do all the hard work, and you don't really have to worry about that. So press agencies are a really good tool if you don't want to put in the time of making a press release and doing it yourself. So why is the press so important? Apart from the reasons I spoke earlier about getting that immediate traffic, we had 500,000 from CNN. A link to your site from a major news site is so important because of SEO, like I spoke about before. So the more links your site has from reputable sites like CNN, like The Verge, the higher you're going to be in Google, and that's going to really, really help you out. So you've done all of this, and you've spoken to the press, you've put in your share buttons, it's going out on Twitter, but how do you then know if you've got viral? Like, how do you know? There's like, until your website crashes, there's maybe not so many ways to know. That's why you've got to use Google Analytics or similar. I recommend Google Analytics. It's kind of the most robust one I've found. I've tried a few. But what does Google Analytics do? It tells you detailed information about the traffic coming to your site. It's going to tell you in real time how many users are on your site, where they're looking from in the world, what devices they're on, what pages they're looking at, how long they're spending on each page, and importantly shows you what sites they came from. So on Google Analytics, it will tell you like how many users came from this website or this website or this website, and that's really useful because you can now see what articles are getting you viral, but also where you can focus your attitude more to. So if you see you're getting loads of views from the UK but not the US, you know, you can adjust your strategy to kind of focus more on that US base. So yeah, cater for different locations. And Google Analytics is definitely something to use because it's so easy to set up. All you have to do is paste in like the small bit of JavaScript or HTML into your site. When you sign up, it walks you through this, but I just want to stress how easy it is. There really is no downside at all. Cool, so you've used the press, you've used the share buttons, you posted on Facebook, social media, Reddit, and you've gone viral, you got into the press, and you've seen you've gone viral from Google Analytics. So now what? You've gone viral, now what? This is key. You can't act the same when you have a viral site now compared to before. You've got to change your game. You've got to start protecting the site. You've got a lot of traffic coming in now. So ideally you want to do this before, but you want to make sure your website isn't going to crash. You've got to make sure there's no security risks. Of course, you should do this before, but really importantly now. So how can we go about this? Again, ideally do this before going viral, but you might not have considered it yet. So you want to do things like using Cloudflare. Cloudflare, I believe that it's still free to use. You can sign up to it. You've got to kind of change your DNS records a bit, use their name servers, but it's relatively simple to set up. And their CDN, their content delivery network, is going to deliver cached copies of your site to your users. So what does this mean? It means every time someone's trying to request going to your website, not every asset is going to be fetched from the server each time. It's going to cache like the most popular ones and send that out from their servers. What that's going to do is reduce the load on your servers and significantly reduce the amount of bandwidth going to your server. And that's going to make sure your site can stay up, ideally, when you have a lot of views. And then on top of that, they have a feature called Always On, which means if your site does go down, they're going to deliver an entirely cached copy of your site, which is so great because whilst you're busy fixing it in the background, you're not going to lose any users. And this is particularly a problem often on Reddit, actually. And you might have seen it yourself. You go on the front page of Reddit, you see a post, you click it, and the site just doesn't work. That's because so many people have hit that site that it's gone down. So anecdotally, when I used Cloudflare, we had 28 million requests in our first couple of weeks. And I was hosting on GitHub pages, which only allows 100,000 requests a month. So thankfully we had Cloudflare, which reduced the number of requests that were going to GitHub itself because they were serving so many cached copies. But still, GitHub haven't complained to me. Not quite sure why. Here's some stats from Cloudflare. You can see the total data served on my site so far is almost 700 gigs. and of that, 300 of it was cached by Cloudflare, which is really great. So we've protected our site. Now you've got to protect yourself. You've gone viral now. Your name is in all the papers. You've got to lock down your social media, because there's nothing worse than the Daily Mail finding out about your app or site and then going through your Facebook, reading all your posts when you were 12, or your Twitter when you first found out about politics. You really don't want that. Make sure you're locked down. Your privacy settings are on. On the site itself, don't have your personal email anywhere. It's really easy for someone to exploit that. If they can find your personal email address really quickly, they can try logging into your domain name provider, your hosting provider, or just spam you to hell. You really don't want that. So if you do need an email address on your site, set up a custom one with your domain name, or use mail redirects. So if you can set up wildcard redirects, so anyone who emails any email on your domain name will forward your personal email, and that kind of doesn't expose you. And of course, two-factor authentication. This is so important on your hosting, on your domain names, on your Cloudflare, anything involved in the site, and your email, of course. You want two-factor authentication, because that way, even if someone does get your password, they're not going to be able to gain access to your hosting provider or your domain name provider, and they can't bring down your site. So great, we've gone viral. What can we do now? So you got your fame, but you need your fortune. So monetization. Your viral fame will not last forever. It always peaks and then comes back down. So you really want to cash in before it's too late, which sounds bad, but at the end of the day, you've put in a lot of effort and time into your site, and you want to be able to get some money for it for yourself, or to donate to charity, or just to cover the time you put into it. You might not have been able to go to work because you're spending so much time on it. I know I certainly was. So the first thing that often springs into people's minds is Google AdSense, but you probably won't get accepted. They kind of require a lot of content on your site. They require your domain name to be a certain length of time old. They kind of want quality websites, and newer ones don't really account for that. And on top of that, they've got a really slow process of exception. So it might be weeks before you can find out you get rejected, which is not ideal. So you want to look into people using AdX. What is AdX? AdX is Google's kind of higher level of AdSense, which partner companies can use. You can't sign up to it yourself. You need to join a partner site or partner company like Ezoic. That's who I used, and I recommend them. And they have kind of extra powers with Google that you don't have, and they can get you accepted much faster. And yeah, they're pretty good. I'd recommend them. What you want to avoid is affiliate deals, because that's not guaranteed income. That's if people click on it and buy something. You don't really want that. You want some kind of per impression, per click monetization here. And smaller marketing firms. I've got 2 horror stories of smaller marketing firms I used, and I got royally screwed over. I would recommend to go with big ones like Ezoic. Yeah. Apart from that, direct ads. Direct ads are when you yourself put like a banner ad of an image you've created, or like a text ad. And this is quite good because you can choose who you're promoting. With AdSense, you don't get a choice of what the ads are for. It's just whatever Google decides, based on the user's cookies and things like that. So you can sell direct ads to local companies or charities. Obviously, you might want to do this for free. But it's a good way to use your viral fame for something potentially a bit better. Or it's a good way to get guaranteed income. If you can't get accepted onto AdSense, this could be your only way of making money. You can partner with brands. VPNs pay very well. That's why all the YouTubers partner with VPNs, because they've got a lot of money. But if you don't want to go down that route, you can put a donation button. I've got a PayPal button and a coffee button. A coffee button just basically says buy me a coffee, and you click it and it takes them through to this website called coffee.com, and they can make a donation for the price of a coffee. It's quite nice, and it goes straight to your PayPal. I'd highly recommend those 2. I had a lot of success with those. Donations are always worth it because it means your users can give back to you if they found your service valuable. So even if you don't want to run ads at all, I definitely recommend putting a donation button. So that kind of concludes the end. If you want any further reading, because I've kind of touched on things lightly to make it more relevant for a hackathon, there's a good book you can buy called Contagious by a guy called Jonah Berger. He's basically come up with this explanation of why and how things go viral. You can read more about that on his website as well. So thank you very much for listening. If there's any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on Discord. You can put it in the general chat, or private message me, or my email is there. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you found something in here useful. So thank you very much.